I did it straight off. I forgot to unmute myself right at the beginning, so I got that out of the way. I'm glad we can all experience that together and move on. But welcome to tonight's Shift live stream. We are less than a week away from when we started our second crowdfunding campaign, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about the updates and the things that are happening. And I have a very, very exciting guest who is coming on tonight, Executive Producer Franco Sama. You've heard me talk about him. You've never met him. And he's going to be with us here very, very soon. I want to give a shout out to those of you that are joining us right at the top. Lisa from Philadelphia, hello. Andrea from Canton, New York, good to see you as well. Mary Jo from Dallas, awesome. Kathy, I don't know where you're from, but hello. Elizabeth, hello. Elizabeth is laughing at me because, of course, you guys were ribbing me all day today about my inability with the mute button, and I was so determined to do it right, but I didn't. And Jean, hello. Yeah, so everybody, welcome. I'm really glad to see you tonight, and I'm excited to report what's been going on with our crowdfunding round 2 since we launched it last Thursday. Just to put it in plain English, I am blown away. I'm absolutely blown away by the response so far. We've added well over 100 new investors since Thursday, which is less than a week. And that is amazing. To add that many investors that quickly, and that's amazing. And that's amazing for a couple of different reasons. Number one, that's faster than we've ever added investors before. And number two, we haven't really started advertising yet. Part of these campaigns is that we put some money into Facebook ads and ads in other places to try to, get people to see the shift for the first time and to come and enjoy it. And we haven't really done any of that. All we have done is just kind of put stuff out there. And I've done a couple of little ad spins here to kind of tell people about the event and things like that. But for the most part, we are not advertising. And yet we have accumulated so many new investors, and we are so glad that they are partnering with us. Our investment total is jumping up constantly, and you might notice something. Oh, there we go. Right there on the screen next to me, we have a ticker. We have a ticker now that'll show you live investments as they come in. If you invest with us during this live stream, not only are we going to shout you out, but you're actually going to see yourself right there on the screen. And so I'm really excited to see. We actually had our most recent investment is from Deborah from New York, who invested $501. Thank you, Deborah, for partnering with us. And we would love to see some more names pop up there, and we'd love to shout you out as well. I just got a message from our moderator, Brad. He says we've had a number of other investments this afternoon. Earlier today, Mike from Utah invested $3,000. Holy crud. Lori from Oklahoma invested $501. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Mike, for partnering with us. Sharon from Pennsylvania invested $252. Thank you, Sharon. Charles from Texas invested $150, and Deborah from New York invested $501. We are so happy to partner with all of you, and so grateful for your support and your belief in this film, this very, in some ways, strange film, but also a film that, as I believe, and as I know many of you believe, testifies of a powerful truth that we could use a little bit more of in this world. There's some massive differences between now and back in September when we were doing this all the first time, and investments were much harder to come by. We were kind of the lone wolf at the time. We were out there on our own. We were, just kind of this project attached to this company, VidAngel Studios, that was in bankruptcy at the time, and that made it hard for people to have confidence. This is a very, very different landscape that we're in right now. We are now associated still with VidAngel Studios, but they've changed their name to Angel Studios. They've gotten rid of the bankruptcy. That's all gone, and business is going great. And so now we find ourselves in a much different position. We also find ourselves as part of kind of a larger ecosystem within Angel Studios. Angel Studios right now, just the company itself is running a campaign for their own crowdfunding, just to fund the business itself. And I want to show you their pitch video right now. Now I'm showing you this, I'm sharing this with you to show you how the shift fits into Angel Studios, what we're actually a part of. And I am not being paid at all to promote on Angel Studios' behalf or anything like that. I just think that it's really cool what Angel Studios is doing. I believe in the mission of Angel Studios, and so I want to give you that larger context. So here it is. This is the Angel Studios pitch video. It's very funny. You're gonna actually really gonna love this. And then after this, let's bring in our guest.
Hollywood has been controlling what we watch for the last 100 years. And who approves every cookie-cutter rom-com, superhero flick, and reality show? Only a handful of Hollywood executives. A handful's all you need. Handful's all you need. That means Green Lantern was greenlit by fewer people than actually liked Green Lantern. We liked Green Lantern. It was okay. If I wanted to have billions of dollars spent by a small group of old white guys on stuff I don't need, I'd pay my taxes. And sure, Hollywood makes some great stuff. I love The Mandalorian as much as anyone, but Hollywood produces over 1,500 movies and TV shows a year. That means for every one Baby Yoda, Hollywood makes 400 new Housewives of Atlanta. And that is not the way. Hollywood has no idea what type of content actually matters to you. 80% of Hollywood movies fail because they don't have a soul.
What's a soul?
Sold mine years ago. How many new movies did you watch last year that left you feeling empty? A business model that fails you 80% of the time is just guessing. If doctors had an 80% failure rate, you'd call them chiropractors. Hollywood can't know what you want because they're not you. So, for the first time ever, there's a way to create high-quality TV and film without the Hollywood guesswork. And the best part? The content is chosen by the greatest executives of all time. You. It's called Angel Studios, the film studio that only creates the content you choose. Go to investinangel.com to learn how to become an investor today. You are the best decision makers when it comes to film and TV. For example, 19,000 of you as angel investors wanted a TV series with a historically accurate depiction of Jesus. So you invested over $10 million to produce The Chosen, which became a smash hit, being viewed over 100 million times, generating over $30 million in revenue with season 2 in production. 19,000 of you decided to make that happen. For context, a dozen people decided to make Cats happen. So, and what's even more amazing than The Chosen's financial success is how compelling it is as a TV show. With 12,000 positive reviews on IMDb and a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score, The Chosen isn't just good as an idea, it's just good. You angel investors are better at choosing successful projects than Hollywood. Almost 8,000 of you helped create Dry Bar Comedy, which is now the largest online library of stand-up comedy. Dry Bar Comedy is now on XM Radio, cable TV, and Peacock, and it gets over 1 billion views per year. Thousands of angel investors raised over $1 million to fund the Tuttle Twins, the most crowd-funded kids cartoon in U.S. history. And the accompanying Tuttle Twins books have sold over 2 million copies. And most recently, fans of Studio C raised over $1 million for Freelancers, which is the epic story chronicling millennials' greatest challenge, trying to find a job.
Ooh, he's hot.
Oh, he knows. Angel Studios has produced content that makes a lot of money, but more importantly, it's content that feeds the soul. After watching The Chosen, John said, "I've never felt more connected to Jesus and his disciples than I did watching The Chosen." A fan of Dry Bar Comedy wrote, "I suffer from depression, and the pandemic has only made it worse. You made me laugh. I haven't laughed like that in years." And after watching the Emoji Movie, we all said, "Yuck." So, if you want to create the platform that produces incredible content that you actually want to watch, invest in Angel Studios at investinangel.com. Last year, Angel Studios made revenues of $47 million. And with your help, we think we can make a lot more. You can become an angel investor for just $8.90 a share. That's the same amount of money I'll pay you to stop supporting The Bachelor. There's been 24 seasons and 1 successful marriage. It's a broken model, people. Potential investment will do 4 things. Build the Angel streaming app, expand the crowdfunding platform, market to new audiences, and banish Hollywood execs to purgatory.
Suckers were already there.
Joke's on him. As an angel investor, when we win, you win. And with our existing 30,000 angel investors, that's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win. As with all investment, we recommend you only invest as much as you're willing to lose. But if you had invested with us in round 1 back in 2016, your investment would already be worth almost 3x. But if you missed out on 300% growth, don't fret. There is even bigger potential in round 2. Each year, movies and TV make over $280 billion, and that's before you count merchandise and box office. And we're not allowed to legally speculate on growth, but I'm going to point at this and wink at you. Angel Studios is your chance to transform the next generation of TV and film with content that matters, while giving yourself the opportunity to make a lot of money. Making money while doing good in the world? What is this, the opposite of paying taxes? It is. So go to investinangel.com to learn how to become an angel investor today. What are you waiting for, you big film producer? The best stuff we'll ever watch is waiting for you to make it. Angel Studios. Be part of stories that matter.
All right, so that's Angel Studios. We are keeping some pretty good company. The Chosen, Dry Bar Comedy, the Freelancers, and some other shows that are coming up as well that you're going to hear a lot about in the near future. It's really exciting to be part of what they're doing, and I think the thing that I love most about Angel Studios is the type of comedy, the type of content that is coming out of it. They really focus, the focus of Angel Studios is on stories that amplify light. That's really what it's about. And The Chosen obviously is a fantastic example of that. Even Dry Bar Comedy is. Dry Bar Comedy is comedy that the whole family can enjoy, and it's a good, clean, honest laugh that's actually really, really funny. And we live in a world in which most stand-up we think of as being kind of filthy, and it's so nice that there's this place where that isn't happening. So here's the shift. We come along and we're this story about this guy versus the devil, which okay, a little dark, but as we like to say with the shift, it's not about the darkness, it's about the light that cuts through the darkness. And the only way you can represent that is by showing that darkness. So the shift has a lot to offer. It fits well within the group that within the group of projects that makes up Angel Studios. And so I'm just really excited to be a part of that. Now that's what's going on the Angel Studios side, which is a very unconventional way of doing business, a very smart way of doing business that The Chosen has done extremely well with the Angel Studios model. But what we're making is a movie. And a movie is a very different thing from a TV show. And there are different ways to get movies out there. And we want to explore all those different ways. And the person that I'm going to bring on right now to meet you for the first time, Executive Producer Franco Sama, and if I'm saying your name wrong, Franco, I've never actually asked you how to pronounce your last name. So when you come on, you're going to have to clear that up for me. This is the man that's going to help us get this film out in a way that has been done for a long time, but also in a way that's very effective. And anyways, I'm going to let him talk about it. Franco, I'm unmuting you now, and let's say hi. Hey, Franco, welcome.
Hey, Brock, how are you doing?
I am doing well. How about yourself, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, I'm very excited to have you. We actually just met for the first time yesterday. We met virtually for the last 6 months, but we actually met for the first time in person yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. We got to tour your office, and your office is right there in LA Center Studios, and where a lot of famous film and TV productions have shot, including one of my favorite shows, Mad Men. That was a thrill for me. So thank you for having me there. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was fun actually meeting you in person and being able to give you the tour and see the sound stages and some real action going on there, which is just starting to come back around. But it's really wonderful to see that the actors and the technicians and the crews are all back to work.
Yeah, no, that's great. It feels like we're finally turning that corner we've been waiting for, which is great news for us, especially gearing up this film. We're looking at shooting this film in a different world than has kind of overtaken over the last year, and then eventually releasing the film, hopefully in a very much more comfortable world than we've been in so far. Yeah. Can you give us just a little bit of background on yourself? What do you do? Where are you from? How'd you get into this?
Well, I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, and I remember being a really, really little kid, like probably 8 or 9 years old. I was always fascinated by the movies and television, but unlike a lot of my sort of friends who wanted to be famous, right? They wanted to be stars, and they wanted to be famous and actors. I never had that. I didn't have that in me. What I was more interested in was the business side of it. Even at 8, 9 years old, I was curious about those kinds of things, like those kinds of questions. How does that work? How do people get to that point? And so I made a real decision. I always tell people it was a real decision at that early age that whatever that is, which I didn't understand, of course, I want that. I want that to be what I do in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But then life came in and took me on a detour, and it was a very long detour. And it wasn't until I was 39 years old, and I've never told you the story. But
No, you haven't told me this story. This is new to me.
I was 39 years old, and I was working as a consultant, traveling all around the Eastern Seaboard and the Mid-Atlantic as a consultant to the auto industry, where I would go into these car dealerships that were failing, and I would turn them into profit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one day I was in Buffalo, New York. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a small frame picture just to the right of me, to the left of me in my office, and I wish I had thought to tell you the story yesterday.
I didn't notice.
It's a photograph of a coffee shop called Spot, S-P-O-T, in Buffalo, and it was the closest place I could get to because we got 22 inches of snow that day, and I was unable to move. I couldn't go to work, so I literally walked my way over to the coffee shop. And I brought a yellow pad of paper with me. And I was really unhappy with my life. I was unhappy with my relationship. I was unhappy with my work. I was unhappy. And I wrote a letter to God. I call it my letter to God. And it was pages. It must have been 20 pages. And at first it was anger. It's like, what am I doing? How did I get here? What's going on here? And then I started to get more reflective in it, and I was like, what happened to the kid? What happened to the dream? Where did that go?
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because I look back at that letter, and it really was the blueprint for what my life turned out to be. When I look back at it. And it was that moment when I just got this feeling in my body, stop talking about it and start doing something about it. So I picked up the phone and I called my travel agent, which we had back then because there was no such thing as Expedia. And I had her book me a trip to Los Angeles, and I flew out here for the first time, and I explored what was going on. And before I knew it, within 4 or 5 months, I quit my job. I ended my relationship, said goodbye to my family. I packed my bags and I moved to LA. And it was the best thing I have ever done. That was August 5th, 1997. And I have been actively in the industry ever since, but I've actually been producing films since about 2005.
Uh-huh. So what do you said you're not a creative, and I know this about you. You haven't written, you haven't directed, anything like that. So what do you bring to the table then as a producer?
Well, it's interesting because at that time in the late 90s, so my goal in that letter, by the way, was that I wanted to be in the entertainment business by the time I turned 40. Well, this was like February of that year, and my birthday's in October, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to make this work.
Yeah.
But I did. I was successful at that. And when I got here, I quickly realized, so I'm 40 years old in a town where these 19 and 20-year-old people were running circles around. Right?
Oh yeah, the town worships youth.
They had half of the life experience, but they were twice as smart as me in the industry. They knew twice as much as I did. I knew nothing. Right. That anybody could have known more than me. So what I had to do was ask myself, what transferable skills do I have from my old life that I can bring to the new one? It's going to bring me to a place where I don't have to compete with the 19-year-old kids. I don't have to go work at the mailroom at Philip Morris or William Morris or one of these agencies. I'm too old for that. I can't do that.
Right.
So I needed a kind of a quick fix. And I realized that there's a couple of things I really know well. I know people. I know how to negotiate. I spent many, many years negotiating. I know how to speak publicly. I'm a public speaker, always have been. And I knew money. Knew money. And I thought, everybody needs money. It doesn't matter what business you're in, but particularly here in Hollywood, right? Everybody needs money. And so I started to carve out a little niche for myself of trying to learn. It was Anthony Robbins. I was listening to one of his tapes back then, the cassette. And he said, become an expert at something.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to succeed in life, become an expert at something and be that thing. And I took that advice, and I decided I was going to learn everything I could about finance in the movie business, specifically. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it was trial by error, and I made some mistakes, and I
Yeah.
paid some heavy prices for that. But that was my education, so I didn't look at it as a bad thing.
Right.
This was my schooling. This was my education. I have a degree in psychology, so I came here with that, which comes in very handy, by the way. And but I didn't know anything about the actual movie business, so
Right.
I learned it, and I learned it by making movies. I
Mm-hmm.
learned it by jumping in head first, making mistakes, and figuring it out, and watching other people around me going, "Oh, I should never do what that guy just did."
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it happened for me. And then eventually I got to a place where I, in fact, as you well know, became an expert at film financing,
Mm-hmm.
and it has completely changed my life and catapulted me into a whole new career of film financing. And I'm invited to speak all around the world uh,
Mm-hmm.
at lectures, and I was the keynote speaker at the VIP Film Summit in Washington D.C. 2 years in a row. And the reason why these people call and bring me up is because I'm an expert in film
Right.
financing, and I'm good with that.
Yeah. Well, it's such a mysterious thing, film financing. It's one of those things where you can Google all day and you're never going to find the right information. And if you talk to other filmmakers, as I have, you'll get a lot of bad advice, which I have, and I have followed, and then I've made mistakes. Um, and it's one of those things that is such a mystery. And what I love about what you do is how you really, and this is what you've done with me, is you've kind of just broken it down and said, no, this is how it works. These are the best practices. Not only how it works, but here's how you do it ethically. That I think was one of the biggest reasons why I felt good about establishing a relationship with you, is because that was really, it wasn't just about what you can do, because there's lots of things you can do, but then there's what you should do and the right way to do it. And that's what I want my focus to be, just as a person, much less in my career. So but I think it's fascinating that you came to it so late, and that's so unusual. Later in life, I mean.
Yeah.
It's so unusual, but also it's something that we have in common. I didn't get into filmmaking until I was 38, and The Shift was really the first thing I did, other than working as an assistant set decorator on a feature. Like, that was the only thing I had done, and I had done that same year. So, it's an odd thing, and I have that feeling sometimes where I'm kind of like, like Orlando, for example, is 10 years younger than me, and he's been doing this almost 3 times as long.
Exactly. Right.
And it's like, but we work together, and he never makes me feel bad for being older or for being technically less experienced.
Yeah.
We work on a pretty even field in that, thankfully. But it's strange. It's an odd feeling.
I like to think that my story and my experience inspires older people, to
Mm-hmm.
understand that it is never too late. Even if you just want to be if you want to be a writer or an actor, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's
Right.
something that you feel passionate about, and you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you're willing to do it, that's the reason why I was attracted to you guys, is because of your work ethic, and that nobody has to tell you twice. In fact, sometimes nobody has to tell you at all. You're just doing stuff way ahead of yourself even. And that's what I'm attracted to in a filmmaker. I'm attracted to people who aren't looking for a handout, people who aren't waiting for somebody to hold their hand and walk and babysit. I can't do any of that. I don't have time for any of that. I do have an education program. I'm happy to help people by educating them if they've never done this before. That's separate. But to
Right.
actually engage the way we're engaged and work on a film and put all the resources and come on full board, that only happens if and when I find people like you guys who are, without question, willing to do the work and willing to do what it takes. But
Mm-hmm.
as you mentioned, within the parameters of integrity, right, and honesty,
Right.
because that's where most people in Hollywood fall off the rails,
Right. Exactly.
is because they get this deal or this offer, and it sends them down the wrong path that could potentially destroy their career before they even get off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that happen so many times that I try to contribute to a project like this to help steer it, to make sure that nobody, even can identify it and stuff. Like it's so far away that you don't even know it's there.
Right. Well, and I think, and we do that because it's the right thing to do, but also because I believe that ultimately, if you do go down the wrong path, you're going to end up in a bad place. Like it's just the natural order of events. It's just how the universe works, and I think that's how God works. And I firmly believe that sometimes doing things the right way or trying to do things ethically makes things take longer, but ultimately, I believe that we're rewarded for those efforts. And I think we're seeing a lot of those rewards coming right now, and that's so it's kind of like it's playing the long game. I think to do it correctly, it really is, and that's a much better game to play.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just going back to what you just said, some of these people don't know that they're going down the wrong. That's the problem.
Right.
They don't know that because they're new and inexperienced, and it sounds great,
Right.
And that's what happened to me. I went down the wrong path inadvertently, thinking I was, trusting my instincts, which I now know how to do. But back then, I didn't have any instincts around the industry because I didn't know anything about it, and I ended up, falling off the rail. But only in the sense that, I ended up making a couple of films that just didn't do well, and then there were people that, and put money into those films, and you want everybody to make sure they make their money back. So it was, in a sense, it was a blessing in disguise that I had those experiences way back 18 years ago, because it set the stage for my future to be able to say, okay, I get it.
Right.
I get it. I get how this thing works. I'm not going to ever buy into that again. And not only am I never going to let that happen to me, and I'm going to stay on the straight and narrow here, but I'm going to help other filmmakers recognize the difference so that they can do.
Yeah. No, exactly. Hey, just as a reminder, we are shouting out investments tonight. We have a ticker on the screen. If you make an investment while we are live, your name will pop up and we will shout you out. We would love to do that. We'd love to see a couple $1,000s tonight if that's possible. I know there's people out there who are kind of on the fence, who are thinking about it. This would be a really fun time to take the plunge, and you can do that at angelstudios.com/theshift. So be sure and check that out. Now, you've told us why you decided to come on board with me in Orlando. You see in us the things that you're always looking for in a filmmaker. But the type of film we're doing is a little bit unlike other films that you've produced. So, number one, have you ever produced a faith-based film? And I already know the answer to that question. And number two, why this one?
Okay, so the answer to that question is no, I have not.
Yes.
And it was precisely because of that I was interested in it, right? Is because this is outside of my wheelhouse, right? My wheelhouse is what we call genre films, like thrillers and dramas and comedies. They're the typical sort of genre, different genres, right? Now, faith-based is a genre in and of itself.
Of course.
But it is a little bit apart from it. And what was interesting about it is I had, as you know, I had partnered with another production company who is a faith-based company.
Right.
And that had happened before I met you. And so all of a sudden, all the pieces kind of fell together, right? I was like, oh my God, these guys have this. I saw your short film.
Right.
And I did my due diligence and research on you, as I had hoped you were doing on me.
Yes.
And it clicked. It all started to click in my head. But then I read the script.
Yeah.
And that's when it really started to shift. No pun intended.
It happens constantly.
I bet. I hear that every single day. But it literally did. There was something that shifted in my brain, and I went, oh, because I know I have a layman's conception of what faith-based films are,
Right. Right. I think
right?
we all do. We all have this idea in our head.
Yeah, you have this idea in your head, and then I
Hmm.
read this, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this some of that in this, but this isn't that. This is this. This is this thing that's just unique. It's its own thing,
Hmm.
and that's something I'm always wanting to get people when when there's a
Right.
new opportunity to explore a whole new way
Hmm.
of doing something that other people have done in the past, uh, the same over and over and over and over again. And then beyond that, I started circulating the script around to my team members,
Right.
which included a casting director, you know, my sales team for sales, sales.
Which is a scary thing to do because you want them to have the reaction you're going to, but these are people who are experienced, who have read hundreds of scripts over the course of their careers, and
I had
they're going to
no
be the
idea
harshest
what-
critics.
I have no idea what the feedback's about.
Yeah.
It's this.
Yeah.
You know, I have no idea what it's going to be, and I'm as anxious
Hmm.
for those results as you are,
Right.
right? Because it's going to help determine the trajectory that we need to take moving forward based on
Mhm.
these are seasoned people. Look, every single person that I brought into the fold for the shift has at least 20 to 30 years of experience in the business, myself
Mhm.
included, right?
Right.
So these are deeply seasoned people, like you said, they've seen it all,
Right.
and they know what they're talking about, and they know a good one from a bad one,
Hmm.
and they know a yes from a no, you know,
Right.
in terms of whether they should be involved.
Sure.
And once that feedback came, what it did for me, it didn't surprise me because I had already formed my own opinion,
Right.
but it had reinforced what I was believing all along.
Hmm.
Because basically, especially when you talk about distributor type of people who are responsible
Right.
for selling movies around the world, if you get their blessing that you're onto something good here,
Hmm.
then now you want to really dive in with both feet, right? Jump in with both feet, because we're not just talking about people who are looking at it from a creative standpoint saying, oh, what a beautifully written script, or what wonderful characters you developed. That's all very
Right.
important. It's also true. But
Right.
then the next question becomes, but if people are going to invest money, which you need them to do in order to make it, right?
Right.
Are people going to watch the movie and pay to watch the movie so that those revenues come back, and we're able to not only pay our investors back, this is true of any movie, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
We want to not only be able to just pay the investors back, we want them to make money. We want them to be profitable. We want it to be a successful film
Absolutely.
all the way around. And that doesn't just mean in the United States. It means
Hmm.
all around the world, places like Germany and the UK and China.
Right.
These are very, very valuable, important territories that, that we want to reach. That's how far this is going to go,
Right.
literally around the world. And even if it means we have to do it in 3 languages or something. I
Right.
got one right now. I'm working on we have to do 3 languages because the distributors all around the world. I mean, we're going to dub it, or we're going to caption it,
Right.
but nonetheless we have to deliver a film in different languages, and that's a good thing,
Hmm.
right?
It is.
Because we're going to reach more people
Hmm.
if we're able to do that, and that's what I'm here to help you do,
Right.
right? Is to get the movie up and running and financed and made,
Hmm.
and then once it's completed, I come in as the guy who will. That's what an executive producer does. We're overseeing the whole process, from the funding to the development, the funding, and the production,
Right.
and the distribution, because you can't just do one part of it well. You have to do all of it
Mhm.
well. And because
Right.
I have 25 years in the business, I have the resources to be able to bring to the table. And the other thing that I thought, to continue to answer that question, that was remarkable, that I saw as an opportunity on this film versus others. For example, if you get a horror movie,
Hmm.
there's a horror market that's massive around the world,
Right.
and they're very loyal people,
Hmm.
right?
Oh,
Make a horror
they'll watch
movie,
anything.
They'll watch it. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it's about. They don't care about the story.
Oh yeah. They just want that thrill. They
Right.
just want to be scared.
But the audience beyond that isn't that great. I mean, there's other people in the world that want to see horror movies, but they're not
Hmm.
diehard fans.
Right.
And when you get into these, what I call niche genres, like faith-based, which isn't so niche anymore, by the way. 5 years ago, we called it a niche. Now it's the norm, right? It's out there. Anyway, the point is, there's a market, right? What people in my position and the distributors that I represent bring to the table, what they really, really want, if they're very attracted to the idea of the demographic that this is going to reach.
Hmm.
That's important to them because it's a part of the formula of the success of the ultimately of the film.
Right.
But if you're also able to make a crossover into the non-faith-based world and get an audience, a loyal following and an audience just in general in any Cineplex in America,
Hmm.
Regardless of whether it's in New York or LA or wherever,
Right.
that's what I see for this. I see that this has the potential to be a breakout hit in the faith-based market, without question, but that it actually has the potential to go way beyond that into the crossover.
Right. Right. And I mean, hearing you say that, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's what I was aiming for, but there's something about having somebody else see that, to know, because look, as an artist, as a writer or whatever, you can intend something all you want.
Right.
It is sometimes very difficult to get what is in your brain out into the world in a way that people perceive it accurately. And so to hear you say that, I mean, obviously the movie hasn't come out yet. We haven't even made it yet. But to some degree, I've hit the mark. To some degree, to a big degree, because everybody who's read it has had a very similar thought. Your team all had a similar thought, which is, this can do well here and this can do well here. And to me, that is the power of this film. That's what I want to have happen. I want to bring people in who would never otherwise watch this type of film, but they will watch this film because it doesn't talk down to them. It speaks to them and their concerns as well as some of the concerns that we as believers have. But it does it in a way that it invites everybody to come. And look, it's not a radical idea in that sense. There are movies that are like this. The most classic example is It's a Wonderful Life, which is blatantly spiritual and religious, and God and angels are there in the movie speaking, you know. And it's a perennial classic that everybody loves, regardless of what their faith persuasion is. And I think it is. It's a great movie. And I would love to be even in the corner of the room of wherever that movie is, just hiding out even. But I think that there's room for these types of stories, and it isn't necessarily the type of story that Hollywood is telling a whole lot, or even the faith-based community is telling a whole lot. It's something that does kind of fit in between them, but I think in a very comfortable way that anybody can approach it from whatever their biases and beliefs are, and find something that they love, and hopefully have a great ride for a couple hours. That's what I want.
And you said earlier about how you hit the mark. You hit the mark in the writing, in the making the connection in our brains, business, the team and everything, between the faith-based and the wider, the bigger picture. But you're gonna get to do that again as the director, right?
Right.
Because once we're actually shooting and we're up and running and we're filming this thing, now you're going to actually be able to take the vision that's in your brain and create that for real on the screen, not on a piece of paper.
Right.
But literally up on a movie screen. And there is no thrill in the world for me better than that.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Having the opportunity to take that vision and literally turn it into a vision on the screen.
No, it's true. It's directing The Shift short film was one of the first things I ever directed. well, the first thing really narratively. But the feeling that I had even on that first day, directing,
Yeah.
seeing the words that I had written down come out of actors' mouths, seeing the camera move around those actors, all of that, it was like coming home, and I didn't even know I was away, you know. And so to me, that's the eye on the prize. That's my eye on the prize for this whole thing. Is just at the end of the day, there's going to be a movie. People are going to sit down, they're going to watch it, and I'm going to get to watch it with them. And that is, I'm going to have a hard time not just breaking down like a baby when that happens.
I know I'm getting goosebumps right now because it brings me back to, for me, especially as an executive producer, because like I said, I'm not a creative, right? So I'm depending on you and people like you to make
Right.
that all work. That's your thing, right?
Right.
But as the executive producer, they're from the very, very beginning of development all the way through sitting in theater and being responsible for the movie being in that theater, you know, at AMC or whatever, right? And
Right.
having 200 strangers around me, right?
Yeah.
Like paid money to see the movie. And this happened to me just not that long ago. And I'm sitting there in the movie theater because nobody knows who I am. Nobody
Right.
knows, because I'm not in the front person on any of this. I'm just a name on the screen. Nobody knows
Right.
that. And being there and watching the opening credits and seeing the movie and holding my breath and hoping that they laugh when they're supposed to laugh and they cry when they're supposed to cry and that there's nobody going, oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. It's
freaking
also
out.
nerve-wracking.
It is. It's freaking out. But
It
at
is.
the end of the day, when you get up and you walk out of that theater, especially if you're lucky enough, like I've been many times, to kind of walk with the people through the thing and you kind of listen to the little comments and stuff. And it's just, I live that. It's like,
Yeah.
that's it. That's what this is all about. That's the reason I do this, is for that moment when I get to experience that and go, you know what? Good job, everybody. From the
Yeah.
first person to the person who made the donuts on set for the kit crew, you know, everybody,
Right.
everybody,
Absolutely.
everybody contributed to, and we couldn't have done that without all of them and their hard work and the commitment. This is a hard business. It's a
It's
lot
very
of work.
difficult.
The hours are excruciating, but the reward is nothing like it.
No, I agree. It is so difficult, but thank goodness you have so many people helping you. It is a collaborative medium, and I try to be. It's important to me to give all the credit in the world to everybody who works on anything that happens to start with my brain. And I say start very specifically because it does. It starts here, but then it becomes something that belongs to so many other people. Because I don't have enough talent in the world to make a film by myself. I mean, even if I could like duplicate myself and perform all the parts, like I'm just not talented enough. I can't do any of that.
And nobody should do that. Nobody should do that.
Nobody should.
That's why all these people have these jobs, so that we can all support each
Right.
other. You know, and everybody makes their contribution. And if everybody stays in their lane, you know, like I know my lane.
Yeah.
And I don't go
Right.
outside for anything. It's like,
Exactly.
you know, that's why I have a team, is because I don't know this stuff and it's not my wheelhouse. So I'm going to bring in the best people that I know to surround people like you, to insulate you and to elevate. That's what I always talk about. Insulate the filmmaker so that they're protected. We're going to all wrap our arms around you guys and protect you, right? And then elevate you, bring you up to another level beyond what you imagined you thought you can do. And the other thing I just want to say very quickly is this movie, when finished and out into the world in the distribution, it is your gift to us. It will be your gift. You will have given all of us the gift of the ship film. And you know, for your first film, major feature film, that's a great way to kick off a career.
Yeah. Well, that's what I hope. You know, it's important to me that this film be successful because I want as many people to hear what it has to say. But selfishly also, I want to make more movies. And if
course.
this film isn't successful, then
Right.
I won't get a chance to do that.
That's true.
But I also do believe, I think what you just said is true, that it's a gift, because I really do believe that once a filmmaker or a writer or whoever releases their thing out into the world, whether that's a book or a movie or a TV show or whatever, all of a sudden it doesn't belong to them anymore. They did their part, and it really is the artist giving it away and saying, here you go, please treat it well, but I don't have any control anymore. Now you get to decide what I've done and what it is. And you just pray that that's a good day. And I
Well,
think it will be.
You have to also look deep beyond what the motives are. And for me, you got to remember, I've been in Hollywood for 25 years. I've seen a lot of crazy and not good stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, I've seen a lot of wonderful, beautiful things, and I've been on the top of the mountain many times, and there's a beautiful view from up there. But when I meet, especially first and second time filmmakers, which I meet a lot, because that's kind of the space I operate out of, it's amazing, and this is one of the biggest differences between you and Orlando and anybody I've ever worked with. And I don't mean to put them all in one category. It's just a natural thing. It's a natural tendency that a lot of these filmmakers come to the table thinking, well, I want to make a lot of money out of the budget of my movie. I want to get paid a lot of money, right?
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, because I think that they don't even know that they think this. I think it's subconscious. But they subconsciously don't believe in what they're doing. Or either they lack the confidence, or they don't believe it, or they do and they're just greedy, right? Because I've had so many situations where I look at somebody's budget, and it's so padded with all this money that's all going up to the top, to the people who are making the movie,
right?
And to me, the translation of that for me is, well, I better make the money now out of the investors' money. I better take the investors' money, stick it in my pocket.
Oh,
right?
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. And because that has never even been a thought for you. I mean, you in Orlando, I want to keep including them. You guys are making this movie for all the right reasons. It's coming from the heart. It's very real and authentic. The money is just a means to an end, right?
Absolutely.
The money, that's the
Absolutely.
money. The money is critical because you need money in order to pay these people to do their jobs. Just like any other business, you could open up a hot dog stand, and you're going to have to buy the hot dogs and pay the people.
Right.
So
right.
you still need money. It doesn't matter what the business model is. And in this case, there's a lot of people involved with making the movie. And there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of phases, and that's what the money goes to. But at the end of the day, if there is to be a financial reward from that, as a result, it's going to come in the form of the success of the movie,
right?
Because you're doing the movie for the right reasons and from the heart, and not because it's an opportunity for anybody in your circle to make any, to make any money, to get a big paycheck.
I honestly would have never guessed that most filmmakers don't already think that way. That's genuinely surprising to me to hear that some are just looking to kind of, line their pockets. Because to me, it is. It's about the movie. It's not really so much about me.
And it's the first thing I do is I run. Because here's the thing. I've had filmmakers literally say to me, well, I can adjust that, I can take that out, right? I mean, and I'm like, no, it's too late. You've already shown me who you are.
Right.
Taking it out isn't the problem. It's the fact that you put it in the first place is the problem.
Right.
And so now I've already made my decision. And that's not a judgment. They can go and do their thing. It's just not the world I want to be a part of. And so I'm not going to take all of the time and energy and resources that I bring to a project like this for that.
Right.
I'm not going to do it.
Right.
I might have done that earlier when I didn't know I was doing it, because I didn't know any better, because I was naive, experienced. But at this point in my life and career, I can smell them a mile away.
Right.
And I just knock it out right away. There isn't even a conversation.
Yeah. Well, I'm very grateful that we were able to work together, and I'm excited to get this film made and get the money we need. That's really the big hurdle right now is getting that budget. And luckily, we have some good progress so far with our crowdfund. We haven't had any new investments during this live stream. It'd be great to see a couple, and I hope that can still happen. But we got a while to go. We got another, I think, 38 days before this campaign is over. And as I was saying earlier, we haven't even started our ad campaign, which means nobody not a whole lot of people knew anyway, or are finding out about this yet. But that's going to be kicking into gear very soon, and so we're excited to see what happens with that. Franco, thank you for joining me. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know you're a busy guy. But I think before this is over, I think there are some things that we didn't even get around to talk about. I'd love to have you back, and maybe more towards the end. And when we've got all those new people and they're ready to hear from you, I think that would be really fun. I know you've got a million stories, and I just enjoy talking to you. So I'm just selfish in that way.
It's been my pleasure, Bob. And I'm very impressed with what you guys are doing with VidAngel and this whole deal. I think it's incredible. And I just wish you all the best, because I really want to see your vision come to life.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. And I'm sure I will talk to you again soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So that was Franco Sama. He was just, or Sama. I forgot to ask him how to pronounce his name. I'll figure that out later. He is one of our executive producers. Of course, one of our other executive producers is Dallas Jenkins. And as you heard from Franco, he's really helping us focus on the financial part of things and getting the money and getting the right team together, kind of on that end, especially when it comes to distribution. Franco has got all the connections we need for distributing a film, both domestically and internationally. So we're really set up, we're trying to set up for success by assembling the right people, because I certainly don't know everything, and I don't want to pretend that I do. But I will bring in people who know better, and that is Franco in spades. If you want to invest, we would love to shout you out. You can do that at angelstudios.com/theshift. We do have some questions. I want to go ahead and take care of these as many as come in. So if you've got a question, drop it in the chat. The moderators are going to get it over to me. This question is from Melissa. She said, do you need to be able to be in the U.S. to be able to invest? Yes, the answer to that question is yes, Melissa. You have to be a resident of the United States in order to invest in the shift. I wish it were otherwise. I wish that there was a way that we could invite. In fact, I got a message just today from somebody from Australia who wanted to invest, and I had to unfortunately turn them away. I've had somebody from Canada recently as well. People from all over have asked to invest in this film, and I've had to unfortunately tell them no. And it's just there's a lot of just different reasons for why we can't do that, but it just comes down to the same thing, which is that we can only accept investment from the U.S. If you do have a question, be sure to ask it at the bottom of the website page. If you go to angelstudios.com/theshift and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is a field there that says ask the creators a question. If you enter, that is the best place to ask questions, because then everybody gets to see it and gets to see the answer. And if anybody does that now, I will answer it live here, and then later on go and do a written response as well. But that really is the best way. I'm sorry. I'm getting a note from our lawyer who says that I am incorrect. It is not a resident of the United States who can invest in the shift. They have to be a citizen. So any expatriates also can invest in the shift as long as they are a citizen. So that's the qualifier there. If you live outside of the United States but you are a citizen, you may invest in the shift. But any non-citizens cannot invest in the shift. That cannot happen as long as you have a United States address. Okay, so that's the clincher. See, another question from Melissa. She wants to know how much has been raised just this round. That's a great question, Melissa. So if you go to the portal, I call it the portal. That's kind of our lawyer term. If you go to our investment website, let's go ahead and check it out right now. This is our investment website. As you can see, our number right now is 214,567. with 508 investors. That number represents what we raised during the previous round combined with what we've raised so far this round. So doing a little bit of quick math, it looks like we have raised about $62,000 since Thursday. $62,000 is more than a third of our total raise from 6 weeks of crowdfunding back in September. So we're doing really well. And that is, again, before really we're getting the word out at all in any significant way. Looks like we have 37 days left, not 38. So we're in a good spot. We're off to a great start with this crowdfunding, and we want to see it keep going. Deborah from New York is still our most recent investor. Is anybody going to come in and take Deborah's name off of there, or is she just going to be the reigning champion, like a Donkey Kong arcade cabinet? Let's see. Do we have any other questions here? You know what? I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes. If you've got a question, please go to angelstudios.com/theshift. Put your question right there. We will answer it live. I want to show you our new pitch video. I showed this to you last week. It is also on social media and on our website, but it's a new pitch video. We went and shot it very quickly a couple of weeks ago, and it gives you an idea of how things are a little bit different now than they were back during our original raise, talking about some of our new team members and talking about just why we're doing this thing. So let's check this out. Hi, my name is Brock Heasley, and I'm the writer and director of The Shift, a short film I'm ready to turn into a full feature film. It's about the struggle between light and dark, a struggle we all share. I wanted to put that struggle on the screen and see a character handle it in the way that I would as a Christian, which is simply to pray. Quiet faith in the face of great darkness and temptation. Just like most believers, I've faced that kind of darkness, and I've desperately needed that kind of prayer. I'm thinking about the violent death of my father, and the years of struggle towards understanding my wife and I had with our daughter with special needs. And we're not alone. So many good people struggle with chronic illness and children who go astray, and more and worse. And in those long moments, knowing that God is real and knowing He exists, and we wonder when He's going to help, when He's going to show His face again. That's what the feature film will be about, a man who has already seen God's hand in his life, and that's when his true trial of faith begins. I don't know a single believer who doesn't know exactly what that struggle is like. And by telling that story, we have a chance to not only entertain, but to encourage and bring hope to so many.
I cannot wait to see how God is going to speak and move in the hearts of both those who believe and those who don't yet.
That's what makes the shift so powerful.
The Shift short film is so powerful.
Very powerful message of positivity.
It is not an accident that this film is coming out now.
I truly believe that this is one of those feature films that will help usher in a whole new generation of faith-based cinema.
And that's why I feel the shift has to be made.
It has to be made.
And we've got the right team to do it. Not only do we have people who have been involved in successful Hollywood productions like A Quiet Place, Argo, World War Z, Pulp Fiction, and the upcoming Jungle Cruise, but we've also got Dallas Jenkins.
Hey there, I'm Dallas Jenkins. I'm the creator of The Chosen, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of why I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift. I remember when I first saw the short film, The Shift, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know who this person is who made this, but I'm really impressed, and I wanted to see more. I wanted to see how it could be expanded upon. I wanted to see what Brock could do with an actual budget. And I think the message of The Shift and the future of The Shift is so important.
And we've also got the composers for The Chosen, Matthew S. Nelson and four-time Grammy winner Dan Hasseltine. The story is bigger than what you've just seen, and it's not exactly the kind of movie Hollywood is used to putting out. That's where you come in. Together, you and I, we can turn this short film into a feature film and reach so many more people. In a previous crowdfunding round, we raised over $150,000. That brought us to the attention of not only private investors, but also to successful independent film producers who have now come on board because they see a potential crossover movie that can do well not only in the faith-based space, but also with general audiences, both domestically and internationally. With a bigger budget goal, We can make a movie that matches the quality of the story we're telling and approach known actors who will give us an even better chance in the marketplace.
My name is Heasley, and I played the role of Molly in the Shift short film. I can't wait to find out who replaces me. Is it Jennifer Garner? Can it be Jennifer Garner? Jennifer, call me.
So how do we do this? First of all, this isn't a Kickstarter. We're not looking for donations. No, this is an investment. We're partnering with Angel Studios to invite you to be a true participator in any profits. If this film succeeds, you have the chance to earn a return based on the details in our offering. Step 1, you back the project by buying a part of the film before it's created. Step 2, if the film earns enough revenue from distribution, you could see a return up to 120% of your investment before the creators get any of the profits. Step 3, if you do receive the full 120% of your investment, any further profits will be split according to your ownership percentage for the entire life of the project. I'm ready to follow Kevin out the door. I want to see what happens to him after he's had this incredible journey of faith, and he knows it's not going to get any easier. It's actually going to get harder. This is the chance to tell the story of a modern-day Job, a person who already had faith and was then seemingly abandoned by God and severely tested. Kevin, like Job and like all of us, will have to make the choice every day to still believe despite all evidence and hardship to the contrary, to find the light that cuts through the darkness. That's the story we could tell together, and it's the story people need, especially right now.
I can't wait to see how impactful and powerful it's going to be up on the big screen.
I really believe in the message and the power that lies in this film.
And I just can't wait to see what happens.
Join us and invest in The Shift today at angelstudios.com/The Shift. All right, that is our pitch video. Pitch video is such a weird term. It sounds like a small thing. It's a big thing. It's a big thing that we're doing. And it's amazing to see the support that we have gotten already. If you do want to invest, I encourage you to go to angelstudios.com/The Shift. If you're on the fence about whether or not to invest, go to angelstudios.com/The Shift. You're going to find a ton of info there, including other videos and information on our team. And oh my goodness, looks like we got an investment during the pitch video from Kara from Texas for $1,002. Kara, one of our previous investors, come back to put in even more. Kara, thank you so much. $1,002. That's huge. Thank you. Thank you for partnering with us as always. If you would like to partner with us, we're gonna wrap up here in a few minutes. If you get it in right now, I'd love to shout you out. We have a couple of questions from Andrea I want to answer. Andrea says, will you be connecting to your investors the way The Chosen does with lots of BTS info, behind the scenes info? Because that goosebumps coming home experience that you are both describing is something we all love the taste of, even if it's only a small sampling. The answer, Andrea, is yes. Yes, we definitely want to provide you with the behind the scenes peeks into everything that we're doing. I don't know that it's going to be as extensive as The Chosen. I spent some time on The Chosen set this past October, and I was impressed by just how big their BTS team actually is. With like a couple of editors, 4 cameramen. I mean, it was insane. Are we going to have all of that? I don't know. I don't really know what our BTS crew is going to be or how often we'll be able to get things out to you. But I definitely want to continue to show you, even as we have now, more and more behind the scenes peaks, and especially, of course, when we're actually shooting, we'll definitely be taking video at that time. Andrea also asked, what does your team look like so far, Brock? So our team so far, you just met one of them, Franco Sama, who is one of our executive producers. Our other executive producer is Dallas Jenkins. And here's a little thing for you, those of you that aren't as familiar with the movie world. Executive producers are actually secondary to producers. Producers are kind of the big dogs. They're the ones who are in, day out, doing the hard work, and that probably have the most to do with a film getting made outside of the director. And the producer on The Shift is Orlando J. Gomez, who is my close friend and would be with me right now, except he's out doing other things. We're going to probably have him on more than one live stream during this next month. But Orlando is the producer. We also have our director of photography, Kyle Jentz, who was the director of photography on the original short film and has since gone on to do many feature films. And so we're excited to have him back. We also have Brandon Jones, who was the sound designer for the short film. Then started from there going off and doing, films for Michael Bay and for Disney and both Quiet Places and all kinds of stuff. He is back to do sound design for us again, and this time he's bringing his friend Joel Erickson, who has a similar extensive resume with giant blockbusters. So they're going to be handling our sound and post. If you watch The Shift and you hear how good it sounds and how crisp the dialogue is, and just those little sounds, those car whooshes and things like that, everything that's got Brandon's hands on it. And so we're very, very excited to have him back, especially since the feature film is going to represent a much more expansive world with a much more challenging soundscapes to create for that. We also have the composers from The Chosen, Dan Hasseltine and Matthew S. Nelson, are going to be composing the music for the Shift feature film. We have Franco and his team. We have Franco, we have Gary Zuckerbrod, who was the casting director for Pulp Fiction and a number of other films. He is consulting with us now on casting, trying to help us figure out who are those names that we could bring on. Realistically, who could we bring on? And then he's working in concert with a gentleman who is a distributor. He distributes films throughout the world, and he's looked at The Shift. He's read the script, and he's talked with me and with Gary and helped us to figure out, okay, how much money potentially could The Shift actually make out in the world? And we have found out through him that we can actually do pretty well, which gives us a lot of confidence. We also have what's called a line producer that we've been working with. She did a great job looking through the script and kind of breaking it down, just figuring out the schedule and figuring out how much things cost. Who am I forgetting? I have an accountant who is working with me. I have a lawyer who's working with me, both a personal lawyer and an entertainment lawyer. I'm sure there are more people, but we're trying to do what Franco described, which is to surround and insulate us, because I can't do all of this and I don't pretend to be the expert in all things. And so it's great to have so many people already who are with us, and I hope to bring on even more. There's a friend of mine that I'd love to bring on very soon, but for reasons that don't matter right now, we're probably waiting on that a little bit, but he's somebody you might know. That was terrible. It was terrible to teach it like that, but I'm not going to reveal anything else. We got a question from Melissa. When The Shift is done, will it only be able to be seen in the U.S. or internationally? Both, Melissa. We want The Shift to be all around the world, both internationally and domestic. That is the focus. That is what we're going to be doing. We're going to go as far and wide as we possibly can. And that's with Franco and what he's doing. On the other side of that, we have Angel Studios and their distribution models, which are totally breaking the mold. And we know that they are very keen to see what they could do with the completed Shift film. So I'm excited for that possibility as well. I feel like when it comes to distribution, the field is wide open for this film. And while we can't commit to anything right now, we can't do that until the film is done. All of the paths of opportunity are right in front of us, which is great. I couldn't even say that a year ago. A year ago, I didn't have all that. Now we do. It's just things are coming together. Let's see. Those are... Oh, Orlando's here. He just popped into the chat. Hey, Orlando. Glad you're here. We'll have to get you on one of these next time. All right. So thank you again, Kara, for coming in with that over $1,000 investment. That was awesome. We very much appreciate that. Appreciate all of you and your support. Can I ask you a favor? I think that this live stream was a really important live stream. And I am sorry that I don't feel like enough people saw it. Franco and what he's talked about and what he said, I think are the kinds of things that people who are on the fence, especially those people who are on the fence about investing in the Shift, I think they're the kinds of things that they would really want to hear. Will you do me a favor and will you share this? Share this stream out there once it's completed. Let's get people watching this. Let's get people hearing what Franco had to say. I think his perspective, especially coming from the Hollywood world, is one that we just haven't had before. And I think what he had to say is really valuable. And I think that he points to just how big this film could be. Obviously, I don't know, and we don't know. But everybody who sees this film, everybody who reads the script, they're having the same reaction. which is that there is massive, massive opportunity and potential here. Will you share this live stream? Get it out there. Let people see it and point them towards the website so that they can go and invest. I just think that what Franco had to say was so valuable, and I'm very serious about having him back. I think having him back in a few weeks will be amazing, and I can ask him some of those other things that I didn't get a chance to. So there's your, if you're wanting to help and support and you've already invested, share this stream. That's the big thing that can happen right now. I'm excited for what's next. We got another live stream coming up probably Thursday. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. I have some exciting things to do on these live streams. I don't know what I'm doing Thursday yet, but I think we're going to have some cool stuff, and some cool people are going to stop by, and you're going to get a chance to talk to them. Thank you again. Thank you, all of you, for being on this journey with me, for partnering with us on this film. It's everything. It's everything right now, and I'm going to give it everything I've got, and I know a lot of you are too. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.